Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome to the Apex Racing Academy Formula 4 Championship. Rolls into, well, the most northern circuit available on the iRacing service. Of course, it's Rudskogen Motor Centre in Norway. What a new track it has been come along. Since it came along, wanting the free contact, a track that no one really knew about. No one really had ever asked for, but become such a main staple in the lower safety class categories. Has really sort of dominated the landscape with its iconic corners, vast elevation changes, and great racing that it has invoked. I am Tim Cox. We've got Samuli Kulo in the virtual production trailer, but as always, joined by Aaron Smith. And, well, Aaron, very contrasting circuit. Last week's, Barcelona bonanza, shall we call it, that, well, it evoked some absolutely crazy results and some big action.
Yeah, Formula 4 always seems to deliver, and I don't think today is going to be any different whatsoever. We're going to have some great racing, plenty of action, maybe a few last lap lunges as well, like we saw last week. And speaking of last week, I rather think it was an improvement over the first few races we had this season. A little bit closer racing, and as you said, a track like this, which isn't too well known, is going to be a good challenge for these drivers and really is going to put their skills to the test. We're in qualifying. Tim, who's your money on today? It's difficult to say.
It is Aaron, and I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. And the times, I was looking at the times in practice, and we had about a 2-tenth spread covering something like about 15 cars. That's how competitive we're potentially dealing with a situation here in Norway. So who's going to come out on top? I think it's going to be, who do you pick, really? These have got qualifying just getting in the way right now. Sometimes popping onto board. Bergson setting the initial time. Wow, that's looking like an astounding lap initially out of the box. 4 attempts clear of second place. That's a big old margin from the Swede. Well, it's his home race here in this series, although different country, but in the same region. This is racetrack, most likely. Got to give a bit of love. We've got 3 new joinees to the series. Say hello to Griffin Hinwazet, first of all. Also joined by Kay Van Paradon and Milan Masushak They're all from Speedy Design Racing. Great to have them on board for the rest of the season. It'll be interesting to see how they get on. And well, look, it's you know, around about that 5/10 off that initial pace. It's really, really close. Covering what's from second Zambra, 4.5 tenths behind, to all the way about 10th place right now. But let's just take a look at this championship standings. First off, Pro, Zambra leading the way, but only by 2 points over Aiden Young. Good old Bergson, as I mentioned, your initial pace setter. Getting cut adrift at 30 points behind Young. There's still plenty to play for here in this championship, so let's see that gap potentially come down. Kaibak is fourth, then Schnabel, Kelleher, Zebstra, Amor, Bell, and Heron to round out your top 10. Let's have a little look into AM right now. And well, Gareth Spence is on top, joined by Tom Minot, both on 316 points, and they seem to be the two breakaway ones. Philip Russell, he is in third, some 20 points behind them, and then Lauritsen, who's I think would be up there with Spencer Minot if it hadn't been for a few incidents, a bit of bad luck that he's experienced in the championship so far, the day. Sitting on 289. Kirk only 3 points behind. Then we've got Walsh, Soft, Wilson, Clist, and Arroyo to round out that top 10. Here we go. 5 minutes in, halfway through qualifying. Those guys starting to shrink a bit, but that initial pace from Bergson, I mean, he can't even match it. His previous lap, he went, what, just over a tenth slower. I mean, sometimes we've all been there, haven't we, Aaron? Where a lap, for no apparent reason, you just pluck it out of nowhere, and it just all clicks, all comes together. And I think we might have just seen that from Bergerson.
It is very, very possible that, as you said, sometimes a lap can just come out of nowhere, but Zambra is getting awfully close. He's only a tenth off. Maybe Bergerson might have had the perfect slipstream at some point. Obviously, we don't know. It is just guesswork. But yeah, I do get that feeling that you mean, that sometimes you just have that one lap that just hooks up beautifully, and sometimes you don't even notice. You just feel good the entire lap. Sometimes you don't know why. Maybe you're just in that zone, all by yourself, just enjoying the car. And Bergerson seems to have pulled out a pretty good lap so far, but I think as the track improves, as people start to warm up their cars and start to get maybe a little bit lower on fuel, as well as we will see the time start to improve over the session, I think we're going to see people getting awfully close, if not beating Bergerson's lap.
So for the proceedings for this evening, of course, qualifying everyone out on track before we head across into the first of two heats, where we're lasting 10 minutes. Top 6 will progress from there. So as things stand at the moment, Bergson will be on pole in his heat. Zambra will be on pole in his. Obviously, all the drivers in odd-numbered qualifying spots. They'll head into heat 1, all those in even. So Zambra, Young, and more will head across into heat 2. And then everyone who doesn't make it through, so everyone outside of the top 6, they're going to the B final before we then head across into the grand final, and we'll find out who comes away winner here today at Rudskogen. Well, time's starting to come down, as you say, Aaron, and starting to get closer, but it's a very, very sort of definitive tight spread, realistically, and especially around that midfield with, what, a tenth covering a more all the way down to Rob. Actually, no, it probably starts a bit before that, realistically, with Mashak in third, all the way down to Rob in 10th. Only a couple of attempts separating them, and then we're starting to see a bit of disparity, you know, a bit of a spread, and then tightens up again as well. He was a great run from him. He moves up into 7th, but Yeomans, Toby Yeomans, what a lap from the AM driver, 9th overall. Lauritsen is the closest, and he's 4 tenths behind in terms of the AM drivers. That's a big old difference.
Yeah, I was going to mention this when you were talking about that AM championship. I think that's where the points matter the most, honestly, and it's where those margins can mean the tiniest bit of differences. These AM drivers just maybe getting into the A final is such a huge chunk of points that they can take away into the rest of the season, compared to some of these pros who are kind of expected to get into the A final race after race, as long as they can keep it on the track. But yeah, if you can have those few tenths in AM, I've been there with other people in similar championships to this, where that AM championship is so exciting to watch. And I think, Tim, as well, you can back me up on this. You know, we've had AM championships in the past which have gone down to the wire because of a few points, because of one good result at a track like this that can just spring out any kind of result. And I think key championship people like Minot and Spence, they're going to be hoping for something to happen ahead of them, because, well, they're not looking too pacey at the moment.
Good to see from our new drivers, strong qualifying pace from them. Marjak, Hinwitz at 3rd and 5th respectively, Van Paren on 8th overall right now. So really, really good showing from those guys, picking up, well, straight from the off as see Tom Minot going across the line, and, well, an improvement from him. No, sorry, apologies. He goes slower, in fact, by 2 seconds. Not the best laps from him, and that's looking like qualifying done and dusted as we reach 9 minutes 40 seconds and change mark. Actually, Joe's going to be crossing the line. Visorcore will be, might not make it back across the line, unfortunately. Well, he's going to start all the way down in 14th as the pole. Vast way away from the top, but same, of course, the driver's being split out as the checker flags out. That is it, done and dusted in qualifying. Right at the end there, Sandbrooks while closing up the gap. But let's take you through your grid for the first race of this evening. Bergson starts on pole with Milan Marjak. Joining him on the front row, Griffin Himwitz, he's on the third row, so second row, apologies, with Daniel Moore, with the third row being Michael Kybak and Kevin Zumscher. Caponio, he's got Lauritsen for company on the fourth row, with fifth row running at top down being Cadence Presley and Tom Minot. Tom Boggy has got Philip Russell alongside him on row 6 with Clist having row 7 all to himself in. Unlucky for some, position 13. Well, just under half of the field are going to make it through here. We have got 6 pros in this heat. Is it going to be all 6 of the pros, or are we going to see someone else? No, apologies, got a few more pros than that, apologies. We have got 8, in fact, so there are going to be pros missing out getting through here. It's going to be interesting. Who will make it through? Who's going to be disappointed? Is there going to be a collision that's going to really shuffle up the results? Well, not far away from finding out. So being on the last driver to head to the grid, that is Lauritsen. Obviously, Camponi has popped back off the grid there. So everyone is starting from, as we get ready, the tension building here in Norway. And a bit of a mention to one of our sponsors for this series, SDK Gaming. So they provide all of our overlays for this series, and all of them on Apex Racing TV. Make sure to check them out with their 14-day free trial. And here we go. We are green. We are racing, and not the best start from Bergson. And you see him was there really catching up and could even make a bit of a move into turn 1. Backs out of it, but look at Marjak just squeezing Bergson wide there. Gets back on again, rejoins, but him was there capitalizing when they both slowed up, both choked up as we run down the hill towards turn 3. Technically a back straight here. And this long swooping right-hander, obviously been reminiscent of Interlagos here, where you've got that back straight soon after turn 1. Everyone just making their way through easy, just playing the numbers game. Oh, I think I've just heard the screech of tyres, and someone's had a bit of an off in the background. Oh, it's Clist.
Yeah, as you said, I kind of heard some tyre squealing there. I think he just had an incident by himself. We've got some battling between Lauritsen and Minot. That AM championship, of course, going to be very, very close. But Minot's all getting very close. So I think that's Kybak. They're going 3 wide now. And Lauritsen on the outside just has to suck in, and now is alongside with Poggy as well. That's going to be a very interesting battle for the lead in AM. But that start from Marzak sending it into turn 1 on Bergerson, I really was not expecting that at all. And again, I'm surprised at the rigidity of these Formula 4 cars coming out, both of them seemingly undamaged. And well, Bergerson's pulled a little bit of a gap on this opening lap, but still got another 8.5 minutes to go.
Seeing a bit of a move here between Zumstra and Kybak. With Zumstra, sorry, yes, it is Zumstra and Kybak. Kybak can't quite get the move done there. Has to back out of it. still in full attack mode, having a look up the inside, the run down the hill in towards turn 3. Can he get it done? Zemstra on the outside, trying to carry all that momentum around with him, but can't get it done as the corner tightens up. Looks for the switch back here. But I think this is Kai Bax. It is. He is done and dusted. He's up into 6th. Oh, wow, just trying to make it still another place after not the best start from the German. Caponi had a great start, jumping both Zemstra and Kai back. And also, 1.3 seconds up the road is a bit of a lock-up just ahead of him. I think that was from him was there, but Bergson already opening out an 0.8 of a second lead. And after that bit of a shaky start with Marzak, as you said, Aaron, wasn't expecting him to have a go there against Bergson into turn 1. But Bergson did seem to leave the door open. I think he wasn't even expecting himself. Then all of a sudden, had Marjak's car up the inside.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Bergerson just simply wasn't expecting Marzak to have a look up the inside, and he did. And I think the reason why he did that is maybe they know that they're not quite as quick as Bergerson around this track and thought, well, we've got to do something. Kind of reminiscent of what George Russell and Lewis Hamilton did at the Australian Grand Prix, where they kind of knew that they're going to have to do something if they wanted to beat the faster driver. And well, you're seeing that Bergerson is pulling away quite a ways now as that gap hits 1 second. But yeah, this battle for the transfer spot, I think, is really going to heat up.
Well, definitely, and especially as I'm sure Caponi has just suffered a slowdown there because he's dropped right down through the order. In fact, he's dropped all the way back down to 8 from what was 5th. It's just up ahead of these guys. Himwas and Marshak have had a bit of a change for position. And oh, looking at the time that Marshak's lost there, I think he's made a mistake because Daniel Amore now all over his gearbox and making his life very, very uncomfortable. Well, what is fast reaching this halfway stage of the race? Let's take a little look and see what happened. It's a bit of a hard spin. I mean, he's looking comfortable by himself there, Aaron.
Yeah, we're just gonna, maybe he snatched the grass or something. No, he just let his teammate pass, and I don't think he did it in the best way possible, as he did lose a big chunk of time. I think maybe he should have just been a bit more patient. Done it on main straight. Hello, we're going 3 wide. That's contact for Presley, and I think that was Lauritsen who he made contact with. I'm not quite sure there, but yeah, wow. And Russell's involved in that as well. That's another big blow for his championship hopes. As Poggi now gets past Caponio. Caponio is having more issues as well, as he's now battling with Lauritsen. But yeah, going through wide into turn 1 round here, not really something I advise doing.
It was brave, and oh, hello, that's Zemstra off. Well, what has happened to him? He must have had a bit of an incident somewhere out on track. Well, he's missing. Yeah, he's already missing his front wing, and I think he's even got damage, maybe even to the rear of the car, so he's just parking it there.
That's big suspension damage, you can see.
Yeah, from right.
Just couldn't turn into the corner. He's definitely had some kind of incident. Don't know if he was involved in that crash into turn 1 at all, but yeah, especially with the way this turn 1 is laid out, going even too wide is extremely risky, and just the way the corner turns into turn 2, it just doesn't work.
It reminds me of Montreal a little bit, turn 1, as we see Marshak now retaking second place there from him. Was that? However, it doesn't mean, look at that gap that Bergson has opened up. 2.5 seconds in 5 minutes. I mean, that's half a second per minute on average that he is opening up, with just over a minute per lap. I mean, that is a massive advantage that the Swede has opened up in these, well, I say early stages of the race. I mean, it is just over half race distance. These heats coming as thick and fast, of course, 10 minutes apiece. The one is slightly longer, with that being 14 minutes and 18 minutes for the grand final that we'll have for you later on this evening on Apex Racing TV. And Daniel Moore's making a bit of a mistake, and I do wonder if a few drivers here picking up slowdowns maybe.
Yeah, the thing is with this track is you do have to use a lot of the runoff, so you are a bit at a risk of getting those slowdowns. As we see Tom Poggi and Caponio once again going for a battle for 7th place. And remember, only the top 6 getting through into the A final in these heats now, with Minot being the last person in 6th spot, kind of comfortably. Got a good gap ahead of him, good gap behind. I think as long as we don't see any slowdowns or mistakes from Minot, this could be huge for his championship.
Talking of huge for a big move here from Capone, the Italian, closing on the back of Poggy, moves out to driver's left, and he gets the move done into turn 1. A little bit dancey on the exit there, through 2, but gets the car settled. You saw the way that Poggy was just able to instantly close up onto the back of him straight away, as Capone was just having that bit of a moment, but they remain as they are. And as things stand, Bergson, Marjak, Henrizet, Kaiback, and Morton Minot are your drivers heading through, which means 3 pros not making the grade. Capone, Presley, and Zemstra. Well, Zemstra's going to be starting right from the back as well, making his life even more harder in the B final. It's not what he would have hoped for whatsoever. And also, Ask Larison as well, the Dane, down in 9th. I mean, normally expect to see him somewhere around that 6th or 7th place. There he is, just coming across the hill there. I mean, Poggy and Cambodia, they're really slowing each other up when they have been battling. However, after the start of the season, his form was so strong, Larissa, but he seems to be falling by the wayside a little bit as we progress through the season.
Yeah, I think maybe his pace has just begun to slip a little bit, as I'm not noticing him as far up the timing sheets as we used to him being, and I also think just bad luck is sprinkled in there. But yeah, here we got a battle brewing for 2nd place, and Kaiback giving chase. I think this has been a pretty good race for Kaiback so far. He's going to try go around the outside, but this line doesn't really work as your opponent has that inside line covering you off, and getting a switchback through there is not really best advised. As I think this is going to be where the main battle is going to be these last few laps, as Bergerson is rather running away with it. That was a big slide for Kaiback. Managed to keep it though, but yeah, I think these guys just have nowhere near good enough pace compared to Bergerson. Bergerson is on another planet at the moment.
He's almost alien pace, isn't he? Look at it, 3.6 seconds after 9.
Minot's made a mistake.
Oh no. Oh, it's all gone wrong for Tom Minot. As you said, he was in that complete bubble by himself, Aaron. Well, let's take a look at exactly how it all unfolded for the Brits. So the brakes just go. The car randomly twitching there a bit. It's sort of
natural.
No, it didn't. It sort of was like completely straight up, left, right. On board here. Let's take a look, Aaron, see if this gives us.
That looked incredibly strange. I wonder if he's had some kind of technical problem.
Well, I wonder that because he was, as Samili just said in our producer, as he was coming down the straight, he was moving left and right on the wheel, like soaring at it a bit. Like, I'm having a. Is this? Hold on, is this failing on me? Am I having a bit of an issue here? He's got up and running again. He's all the way down in 10th from 6th, lost a whole bag of time. I mean, when he's run about a couple of seconds behind him more, so that would mean he's lost about 22 seconds from that issue. Gutting for the Brit after looking like he's going to be heading straight into the final, but the white flag is out and still places up for grabs. And all of a sudden, this 6th place has come a little bit more desperate as there's contact. They bang wheels there. Poggy and Caponio going at it hard on these last few corners of the final lap. Who's going to come out on top? 3 drivers, Lauritsen right in there too. And it's all about that one place to get straight into the final. Bergson takes it from him, was at Marjak, Kaiback, and more. But is Caponio going to hold on? Has he done enough? Yes, he has. And he clinches that last 6th place.
Yeah, all of a sudden, everything just switched up on that last lap. It was like they were not so far back, but they were around 3-4 seconds behind Minot. And then all of a sudden, it completely changes. That last place that Caponio held on to on that last lap, he must have been bricking it that whole lap. But he managed to come out on top.
I mean, himself and Poggy were having a cracking battle before then. But all of a sudden, with Minot's issue, it just flipped on its head and all of a sudden became all the more crucial. Of course, those positions will affect where they start the heat from, so it will affect, which row. But it doesn't make a tremendous amount of difference per se. But all of a sudden, from grid position to a transfer spot, it flips on its head, and wow. We're going to see a dominant display from our pole sitter in this race? Let's find out. As Zambra starts on pole, our championship leader in pro. Schnabel in second on the front row with him. Then it's Young and Van Paradon, one of our new drivers to this series. Thomas Yeomans, well, amazing qualifying performance from the AM driver, really on fire. In contrast, like Bergson was in pro and overall. He's got Hugo Robb joining him on the third row of the grid. David Weiscourt and Archie Heron make up the fourth row, with Chris Kirk and Garrett Spence rounding out your top 10 in row 5. Toff has got Jay Walsh for company on row 6, with row 7 being... Oh no, there is no row 7. It is literally a 6-row grid, 12 positions. Wow. Exactly half of them will make it through. Half of them will head across into the B final. Whew, place your bets now, folks. Here come the lights. Let's get ready to go racing from Rudskogen as we are green and we are racing. And who's going to place it? Well, a great start on the background there from Spence, making up a place already. Archie Heron really getting away poorly, dropping a couple of places at the start. Zambro leads and Van Paradon is pushing hard here. And Rob just pushed out wide as Young sensing an opportunity too. This all got, so it was Young, in fact, who lost that place, and they're all scrambling in the midfield, left, right, trying to get to that inside line. It's going to go 3 wide, down into turn 3, but they all zip in together, all sort themselves out. But well, just about to, ooh, this is a bit leery. It's getting a bit close, and they almost bang wheels to that big blink there from the 25. But Toby Yoma's really hurt him. And well, the AM driver, after that great qualifying, is all the way down for the field and out of the transfer spots.
Yeah, that is not good for him at all. And of course, it wasn't really his fault. You know, he was blinking. No one else could see where he was. So, yeah, not really anything anyone could do about that. Weiscourt and Rob making contact down there in the hairpin, and they're still making contact. I think Rob might have some kind of damage to his suspension. I'm not 100% sure, though. But, yeah, it all happening. Background. That's Kirk and Toth. And they're going to fall way behind the packing order. And they've got a lot of work on their hands if they want to finish any kind of decently in this race. But yeah, it's all happening here on lap 1, apart from the top few spots. But yeah, these guys still battling it out for 5th place. It is early stages in this race, but it is for that 5th place and transfer spot. So I imagine Yeomans is going to be all over the back of this.
He is indeed, as Rob and Weiscourt side by side, they've run down to 3. As Weiscourt on the inside there, he will take this, and Yeoman's just trying to follow him through, trying to position his car on that inside line. And do you know what? I think he might get it as he blinks out once again. Oh, this is really a position that Rob does not want to be in when he doesn't know exactly where that driver is next to him. And he knows that this is the last of the transfer spots as they almost bang wheels. They make contact and they somehow, well, they're still interconnected and they all both get away with it. But here comes Heron, who looked down and out and all of a sudden snatches 7th away from Rob and could even potentially run around the outside, get the run here. Yeomans is looking vulnerable. Weiscourt, on the other hand, the pole is scampering away up off the track. And up into 5th and having a healthy gap as well now of some 1.4 seconds. So, well, we're back to it again, aren't we? 3 cars battling over that last transfer spot. And, well, there you go. There's one out. Hugo Robb into the pits.
Yeah, I think they both got huge amount of damage from that. But I'm surprised Yeomans didn't pit. He looked like his car is in much worse shape. And Yeomans is going to be losing a huge chunk of time during this heat. His front wing is absolutely torn to shreds, and yeah, you can see there his front wing basically doing nothing but causing drag at this point. And yeah, maybe something we don't know. Maybe he's just thinking, screw it, we've only got 7 minutes, I'm just going to stay out. But he's got basically no chance of getting into that transfer spot now. But nevertheless, got a little battle brewing for 3rd place right now between Young and Paradon. I think this battle been slowly getting more closer and closer each lap as Young gets onto the back of the Portuguese driver, and I think Young, he's got the advantage at the moment. Being behind on this track, in my opinion, actually is probably the better place to be.
Bring you a bit of an update. Tom By Not, what happened to him in the previous race? He runs in VR and apparently it failed on him. He had a black screen and well, that's why he did well to manage to pull over and not get off the track. But yeah, that's why he lost all those places. Well, really kick-started that battle over that last of the transfer spots. Meanwhile, in Heat 2, as 4 minutes in, Zambra leading the way over Schneebel, but only by 9/10. Not the dominance way what we saw from Bergerson in Heat 1. Van Paradon currently in 3rd with Young, Vizcor, and then Heron in 4th. However, Young all over the back of Van Paradon and not making his life comfortable right now in these midway stages of this heat. You see 4 minutes, you think, oh, the early stages, it's just ingrained into you as a commentator, but due to this fast, furious heat format, it is the halfway stage of this race.
Yeah, it absolutely flies by when you've got cars, well, it's sort of flying everywhere, you know, when you've got huge amounts of action on track, everyone battling it out for every last point that they can get. And that's what Aiden Young's trying to do right now, trying to get onto the rostrum in this heat race. And like I said, there's two mentalities to these heat races. It's kind of every point matters, but then again, it's just a heat race. It's very difficult when you have a championship like this, where you have so many mind games going on between you and everyone else. And you really do have to think about everything you do so carefully, because it matters so much in the future. You have to take drop rounds into account, you have to take just what's going on in front of you into account, and it is so many mind games, and it really does take a toll, and that's why these drivers are some of the best in all of iRacing.
Complex here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All the corners coming at you thick and fast through these middle sectors. I see Garrett Spence now over the back of Yeomans. This is in the battle for 7th, and the difference between starting on the front row and the second row in the B final. But equally, as we've just seen, all it takes is one mistake from any of those top 6 drivers, and instantly you're brought right back into it. I tell you what, Jay Walsh, he's had a cracking performance there at Rudskogen. Right up onto the back of these two. There he is, closing in on them, in fact. And was the quickest of these 3. Last time around by around about, well, certainly by a 10th.5 over Yeomans. That's why he's been brought into this battle. Well, is it going to intensify, or are they going to play it safe? Are the drivers in these latter stages of Heat 2? Here for Rudskogen, across the line they come. Let's see what they've done this time around. Oh, well, again, it was Walsh. He was quicker by 6 attempts over Spence and 7 attempts over Yeomans. He's catching them hand over fist right now.
Yeah, I think that's just Yeomans holding Spence up so much with that damage. He's defending it very, very hard.
Oh, no.
And there's contact. That was... oh dear, there's going to be some very strong... Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, I could understand why he was squeezing, trying to close down that space, but... I mean, Spence looked like he was already alongside there. Spence into the pits with that damage. Well, fortunately, we've been, well, robbed of the great battle here in these closing stages. And you see he was just closing the space, but that overspeed that Spence had meant they ended up making contact. And in the wall he went. There's going to be further damage to Yeoman's car. He's now fallen all the way back down to 10th, whereas he would have been, what, 8th at worst. But it does mean Jay Walsh has benefited highly from this. He's up into 6th, 7th now, at 5 places. A great drive from the Brits as well. Not starved of any action here on track, as Van Paradon and Young sort of scrambling away over this last place on the podium. And last time around, I can tell you that Young was 2 tenths quicker. He's closing and intensifying the pressure right now in these closing stages of Heat 2.
Yeah, I said this battle was brewing, and, well, it's still brewing. Who's going to come out on top, we just don't know. And like I mentioned before, you got to pick your moments. Got to wait for that opportunity. Maybe Young is just waiting for that tiny sliver of opportunity to try and make his way through. And I think Jay Walsh has made a mistake somewhere. Possibly. He's lost out to Kirk massively. He's lost a huge chunk of time.
He's lost about a couple of seconds, I would say, because Kirk was closing into the back of them. And obviously when we had Yeomans and Spence having that battle, which allowed obviously Walsh to close up onto them. But yes, I'm guessing he must have run wide or had a bit of a twitch or something like that that's really cost him that time, Aaron, because he was only, Kemp was only about a couple of seconds behind. But however, even saying that, he's managed to, get past as well. And as the late great Murray Walker said, catching people is one thing, passing them is something completely altogether different. And well, something altogether different. Zambra looking like in a bit of a class. I think Schnabel's got to have made a mistake because that gap has grown in the last couple of minutes by a good couple of seconds. Yeah, last lap alone, 7 tenths quicker was Zambra, setting the new fastest lap of the race. 1:17.87 from the Swiss driver.
Yeah, it is really strange seeing huge gaps like that. And obviously we know Schnabel's quick, but yeah, Zambra and Bergerson, I think that feature race is going to be very, very interesting to watch, in my opinion. That's going to be the big battle. They seem to be relatively similar on pace, but this battle's still brewing for third place. Aiden is not going to give this one up, but unfortunately in this last sector, there's not really too many overtaking opportunities. There's a lot of fast sweeping corners. This last corner, a little bit of possible contact there. Aiden's going to try and squeeze in, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Paradon is just going to hold on, but Zambra takes the victory in this second heat race. And yeah, I don't think there was much Aiden Young could have done about that. And Weizikor and Heron making the final few transfer spots. But yeah, another little interesting few moments in that heat race.
Oh, definitely. Definitely not starved of action and drama and plot lines to the story whatsoever here in Heat 2. We had enough to last the meeting just in Heat 1, realistically, and then Heat 2 didn't fail to deliver either, matching up to the first heat. But when everyone's across the line, we're going to head across into the B final. And a bit of a mention to number one of the sponsors, Apex Racing Academy, was the title sponsor for this series. We're going to go faster on track with data packs on road and oval racing, track guides, as well as group coaching and one-on-one coaching sessions. If you want to go faster on track, check out Apex Racing Academy. Tom Poggy starts on pole with Chris Kirk joining him on the front row. Laritson and Walsh make up the second row with pro Cadence Presley comes alongside Toff on the third row of the grid. Tom Minot has pro driver Hugo Robb for company on the fourth row, with Russell and Yeomans running at the top 10. Cliston Spence, they on the sixth row with Kevin Swimps just starting right at the back. Work cut out for the pro if he wants to make it, but it's only the top 3 progressing to the final. Who's going to make it? Who's going to have the disappointment? We've got 3 pros. They all going to make it through? We're going to see 3 AMs. Or is it going to be a mixture? You just don't know. So don't go anywhere, as we've got 14 minutes of racing. Let's here come the lights. Yeomans and Zemsha have not made the grid, so Zemsha looking like he's out. Let's get ready to go racing yet again here in the B final, as we are green and we are away. And off we go to turn 1, and everyone just, well, playing it a bit more safer off the line, although we've got a free wide in the middle pack there, and everyone just about tucking in, just about making it through. They know that no mistakes is the only way that they're going to give themselves a chance of making it through into the final here this evening. As we stream down towards turn 3, Presley looking on the attack, Walsh going defensive and then moving back out to take the racing line, but Presley sees that opportunity, sees that gap and swoops through, and then the process, Robin says, thank you very much, I'll take a bit of that space too, and gets himself up into 5th, and well, great start from the Swede, up 3 places as well. Jay Walsh losing place after place after place here, as that's Tom White not through. And I tell you what, there's been a contact. Oh no, and it's all gone wrong for Walsh.
Yeah, big contact there. He's again got a lot of work to do. He's not had the best of days at the moment, but yeah, I think you said initially people took it easy off the start, and then past turn 1, people just thought, let's do the opposite. Let's just send it, and we got some pretty good racing action there in that middle sector. But it's Poggy who leads away in lap 1, with Kirk and Laritson not too far behind at all, with Presley and Rob also giving chase, and a little bit of a bigger gap to Minot, who's about a second behind. He's going to be waiting for these guys to possibly make some kind of contact and just slow each other up. But yeah, this top 6 right now looking incredibly close, incredibly racy. And once again, we've got an amazing B final on our hands.
Oh Lord, Cage Presley. Poggy leads from Kirk. Labritzen third at the moment. 3 AMs making it through. 3 pros out, although Presley is looking to do his best to change that statistic, trying to squeeze through. Lauritzen holds onto it right now, but they're going to lose time to Kirk and Poggy if they keep squabbling all over this last transfer spot. As hello, here comes Rob alongside.
Yeah, he came out of absolutely nowhere, and that's what I'm saying about just being opportunistic. You just got to look and wait for your opportunity to go on the pounce, and that's a very wide line for Presley, but I think he's just about okay from Rob behind, but it looks a little bit all over the place. I'm not sure about Usain, but he's looking a little bit, what's the word, stressed, under pressure right now, just
loose.
Yeah, it just doesn't really look like he's hooking it up properly, and looks to be right on the edge of it.
And, well, because of that exchange between himself and Rob, they both lost around about a second, much over, in fact. So our top trio is having a little look. It's Rob once again. He is knocking on that door hard right now. Top 9 not just behind them in 6th place. As well, 2 groups definitely forming. 1.2 seconds to that top 3, and they need to work together if they want to close this down, if they want to stand a chance of making the final and not being eliminated at this, well, B final stage. But they're playing it cool up front. No messing. They're working together here.
Yeah, it's what you got to do. You got to take these opportunities and absolutely gun it. Otherwise, you're just going to fall into the hands of 4th place and possibly even worse again.
You say that, Aaron. I mean, just in that last sector alone, they've taken, that chasing group have taken, what, 3 attempts, and Laritza looking very, very squirrely there. Has lost a whole bunch of time. It could lose this play. It's to Presley, who's in full attack mode, full commitment mode, right round the outside there. He's going to have the inside into the next section of corners, and there we go. He's done, and Rob's going to follow Presley through. And in the space of a couple of corners, Lauritzen drops 2 places out of being comfortably in that transfer spot. Says, oh, that's tough. Hungarian just losing the rear end, chasing and trying to keep on the back of that following group. But Lauritzen not giving this one up like a dog with a bone right now. But, well, has to succumb to Rob. And now Tom might not want to inflict extra injury and pain onto Lauritzen.
Yeah, I think Minot sort of needs this in his championship hopes. I think both him and Spence need some kind of good result. He's in a better place than Spence is, but still got a long way to go if he wants to make it into that top 3. It's going to be a big ask now. He's got a few cars ahead of him which he needs to get through. But imagine that if we had 3 AMs into the A final. From this B final, that would be quite the story, showing the pros that they're not just pushovers. But here we go, then it's Presley versus Rob, and who's going to come out on top? And Lauritsen's looking for an opportunity to sneak up in the inside, and is now going to be on the outside. But is Rob going to have a look down the inside on Presley? He is, and there's a little bit of contact between them. And Lauritzen now trying to get involved. It's going to be super close between these guys. Still not making contact, though, and just about keeping it on the track as we head on to another lap of this battle. Tim, I just don't know who's going to come out on top in this.
4 cars, 1 transfer spot available to them right now as we head out onto lap 5. Here from Rudskogen, and look at Lauritzen, he's past Presley, and that loose car clearly starting to affect him. However, Rob is getting away. He's 8 tenths up the road. That's the gap he's managed to open up just from that exchange between Lauritzen and Presley. As here we go, down into 3. What can Rob do? Can he open up that gap? They're already taking time out of him. 2 attempts taken out of him. I think something's happened to Walsh. He's just dropped a couple of places behind there. We go, he's lost the rear end there. Russell and Cliss making it through. Ooh, this is going to be close. It's going to be tight. It's going to come all the way down to the wire, potentially. Or is it going to end in tears early between these 4? I mean, Rob, I tell you what, he is so creative with his lines. Where obviously drivers, you know, they're moving around on the racing line, but to do so, to carry the momentum, you have to take really late apex, really wide entries. And Rob's going, well, that's a great big gap there. I'm going to stick my car there. And then all of a sudden, you come to turn in, and you've got that number 21 car just sat on the inside there. You can't take your racing line. I tell you what, it's inspired driving from the Swede. That's what it is. However, he's been hunted down, and look, that gap has dropped again. It's pretty much halved over the course of the last lap. It's down to just 0.4 of a second.
I have to agree with you, but the kind of thing with this track and these slower Formula cars as well is you can afford to take those different lines, and I really do agree with what you're saying. Rob is being so creative with his lines and putting on a spectacular performance, and it is super fun to watch him. It's just do things that you would think are so unorthodox. And Spence's day getting worse and worse there. The the AM Championship leader, excuse me, not having the best of days so far. But yeah, Rob still needs to defend from these guys behind us. They're looking to pounce on him any opportunity. He's holding that last transfer spot, and we've got 3 hungry drivers in his rearview mirror.
I've just spotted something. Kirk has lost a whole heap of time out on track. In fact, let's have a little look at where it was. I think in the last sector he's lost, you know, sizable chunk to Kurt, sorry, to Poggy. Now 1.9 seconds behind, and now only a second off Rob. I mean, what he needs to hope, he needs to pray for is Laritson starts getting stuck into Rob and he can expand that gap out once again, but it's dropping further. It's now down to 0.8 of a second. And if he's not careful here, Kirk, he's going to get enveloped into this group and become, well, it's going to return to a 4-way fight because Why Not has dropped off the back of these guys. He's now 1.7 seconds behind Presley. However, 4 cars over 2 transfer spots, and it could get interesting and tasty at the closing stages as we reach the 8.5-minute mark.
Yeah, as that clock ticks down, your heart rate just gets quicker and quicker every single time. As at the start of the race, you're like, okay, I've got a lot of time, and
Slow
there's
down.
an opportunity. Yeah, slow down for Rob somewhere there, like I was saying earlier on, and he's going to lose another place here. That's going to really hurt his chances of getting into the A final, but he's still got about 5 minutes to go. He's still serving the slowdown. And
Here we go, he's off again.
yeah, there we go. And that's the painful thing. We've all been there in iRacing. Sometimes the slowdowns are just impossible to get rid of.
Presley's got one now.
Presley's got one as well. Yeah, I was just about to say that. It's slowdown galore at the moment.
Well, and that's all of a sudden bunched these guys. And now we're back to having 3 AMs progressing and all of the pros missing out. So just didn't take the grid, neither did Yeomans. It was going for Yeomans because he had that amazing qualifying. Looked to be a really one of the strong contenders to make the final, despite being an AM as well.
Presley's round as well. What on earth has happened there?
Do you think we're just pushing so hard he's lost the rear there? Let's find out, Aaron. He's going incredibly slow on the apex, and then Why Not's just not expecting it. Thought he's going to get on the gas, and well, he didn't, and hits him from behind. Presley with no rear wing. He's into the pits. I mean, yeah, I can tell you're speechless right now, Aaron, and I don't blame you. I mean, it's got to be another, like our producer Samuel just said, it's got to be another slowdown, surely. I mean, but to serve it on the racing, I mean, I get why he's got the right to be on the racing line, but Why Not just not expecting him to serve it on the racing line and not to get going out the corner. Hence why Why Not's made contact with him.
I think possibly Presley might have just panicked and didn't serve his slowdown properly. Thought it was going to go away, it didn't, and then he just braked suddenly to try and get rid of it so he wouldn't get like a 40-second penalty, I think it is, for not serving a slowdown. And yeah, Why Not, I didn't really have anywhere to go, and yeah, that was really strange. Have to be honest, but yeah, that's rather ruined his and Why Not racing, rather spoil a good battle that we were having. And yeah, the closest battle we have now is the one for second place.
The 11-minute mark, Pocky leads from Kirk and Laritson. They are the 3 that are through. They are all AMs as well. Rob, 1.4 seconds to go. Well, behind. I bet that 1.3, in fact. Really needs the race of his life right now if he wants to close up onto Laritson and try and take one of those transfer spots away from our top 3. Why not fifth? Then Spence, Russell, Walsh, Toffee's in the pits. Clist, Presley is out and retired. So during the course, Yeoman's not making the start either. So we've got new personal best lap times coming in. And in fact, Poggy and Kirk, exactly the same lap time last time around. And Ritson, ever so slightly, but by 200ths of a second quicker than our top two. However, just looking at it, I mean, Rob was a tenth quicker last time around. So across the line, let's take a look at what the times are now. And in fact, he's gone 10 slower than Laritson. However, was half a tenth quicker. I mean, he's nibbling at that gap, but he needs to be taking great big bites out of it right now if he wants any chance. I mean, we're heading out we're into 12 minutes. We've got this lap, and I think they're going to take the white flag. 1 lap to go next time around. So, I bar a mistake from someone, and Laritson and Kirk surely just need to play the numbers game here. Play it safe, because if they start battling, that's going to bring Rob into it, and someone's going to end up missing out.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth them fighting, but you know, they're racing drivers. They're not going to do the sensible thing. Let's be honest. I would probably do the same. You're in the heat of the moment. You want that extra position, and you know, who knows? Maybe they're smarter than I am. Maybe they won't fight. And,
he's
never
out.
mind. And so's Minot as well. Minot's been involved in that.
I wonder whether Minot's maybe collected him if he's had an issue on the way through. I mean, Rob was pushing so hard he had to. So any chance of catching them? Here we go. Lose the rear. Yeah. And then Minot is going to probably come through and collect him. Oh, the iRacing guys lights up the tires. Oh no. Same as so. Minot. Well, I mean, Spence now up into fifth, and Minot in fourth. And if Minot has got damage, surely he's got to be. I mean, that front wing looking a bit bent. What looked like was going to be, Minot taking a good advantage here over Spence in the AM standings. These are top two tied, well, tied on top for points right now in the AM standings. This was Minot's chance to really open up a big gap between himself and Garrett Spence and put the pressure onto the American. However, they're now going to finish, just one place apart. It makes life a lot more comfortable as Laritson. Oh, he's pushing against Kirk. However, well, they've got the time to be fair now, haven't they? 10 seconds back is Minot. A half spin. It's the last lap. It doesn't really matter too much. As long as they don't make contact, this will be okay. But they've only got the last few corners left to go. As we head through that long, swooping 14 that seems to last an absolute entirety. Poggy's going to take the victory in the B final over Kirk and Laritson. They are through, all three AM drivers. Well, I wasn't expecting that.
I can't say anyone was. I think, once again, the B final delivering a debatably better action than we had in the heat. So it's weird to say, but I mean, yeah, wow. I mean, once again, all of the pros absolutely blundering and none of them finishing inside the top 8. And chaos in the AM Championship again. And this is going to be a huge boost to Laritson's AM Championship hopes as well. It's Minot and Spence just missing out. But, yeah, wow. Many weird moments during that race, oddly, as well. But some good racing as well.
Wow. Just waiting for the last few drivers to cross the line. We can bring for you some results here from the B final at Rudskogen. Here we go. Here we go. As we head to the warm-up for 18 minutes. The final fun. Who's going to take it? I think it's going to be that fight between the top two of, not Zamborski. That's later, isn't it, Tim? I'm a race ahead of me already right now, Aaron. Can you tell? Although, make sure you tune in. Make sure you tune in later on for that one. Only about an hour after this broadcast finishes, Formula Renault 3.5 Championship. Here's the recap from Heat 1. Bergerson taking that, emphatic victory. It's all going to come down to the battle between him and Zamborski in the final. It was great to see him and Marjak get through on their debut in the championship automatically with Kaibak and Moore Caponio just making it through, and of course Poggy in the end having to take to that B final. Likewise did Laritz, Presley, Minot, Russell, Klist and Swempstra. It's a Heat 2. Well, it was not quite, but the results maybe looked like it was a dominant display from Zambra, although straight late on, but Schnabel really exacerbated that gap. Van Paradon, third, straight through into the final. Likewise, Young, Vicecourt and Heron. The Lambs making it through this time. Kirk, Walsh, Toff, Rob, Yeomans, gutting after that great qualifying he had, and Spence all had to head across into the B final, which we've just seen right now. The results for the B final, well, Tom Poggy, dominant display from the Frenchman. Kirk and Laritsen made it through, but didn't quite look like it was going to be that way. Laritsen, after that good start, ended up dropping back to 5th place. However, mistakes from drivers is what changed that landscape. Minot, Spence, those two top of AM qualifying. That means that Minot will take the lead in the AM standings. But only just Russell. Rob, well, that mistake that cost him dearly. He finished a lap down in the end, and the pro driver eliminated. Likewise, Toff, Klist, Walsh was 3 laps down. So was Presley after retiring their cars. Yeomans and Swempstra did not make the start, and therefore they were definitely eliminated before they even got going. And a bit of a shout out to another one of our sponsors. Just got time here and during the warm-up section, VRS or Virtual Racing School, with their data packs, track setups, track guides for road, oval, and dirt racing as well. Make sure you check them out. Of course, they're brilliant data analysis software to help you go faster out on track, and of course work with our fellow colleagues at Apex Racing Academy, where you can also get their data packs on the VRS platform. Make sure you check them out. Ooh, prediction time. Bergson or Zambra, who gets it? Or the third option, Aaron. Do they take each other out, and none of them wins it?
I think no one's going to win this race, and everyone's going to crash. It's going to be Monaco 1996 all over again. We're going to have someone from the back win.
I mean, to be fair, I mean, it was a real race of attrition at the F1 Grand Prix in Australia, wasn't it? The largest retirements I've seen in an incredibly long time, only 12 finishing there. But anyway, more back to a more exciting championship, the Apex Racing Academy Formula 4 Championship. Bergson starting on pole with Zambra on the front row with him. Himwazet and Schnabel lined up on the second row, with Milan Marshak and Van Paradon, two of the new drivers here to this championship. Making up the third row. Michael Kybach is aiding Young for company on the fourth row. Row 5 sees Amor line up alongside Vicecourt to round out your top 10. Row 6 is Caponio and Archie Heron, continuing that long run of pro drivers, with the only AMs making it through. They had to do it the hard way via the B final. Poggy and Kirk show row 7. Laritsen starts from the back. Position 15. Only way is up for the AM drivers. Actually, I think that's the first time this season we've seen pros only fill the automatic transfer spots. Let's find out who's going to get it. Here are the lights. Let's get ready to go racing for the final time this evening. And what a start from Zambra off second on the grid. And he's going to really apply the pressure to Bergerson. And look at the background there. It's Himwazet and Schnabel go wheel to wheel there in that battle for third place. And Schnabel's going to get it the whole shot over Himwazet as everyone just making their way through. Poggy got a poor start. He's down 2 places behind Kirk and Laritsen in the background there. And well, everyone just making their way through. It's relatively calm up top. It's one long train, but starting to open up, starting to make some moves as Marshak goes and move over. Himwazet gets that one done. He's up into 4th. Himwazet's had a poor start. He's down 2. Could lose further places as he's backed up there into Van Paradon, but allows him just to back into the train there, back into the racing line. Everyone making their way through here. Well, everyone getting away cleanly in these opening corners as we're up to turn 6. Was that Moore serving a slowdown? Yes, it is. Daniel Moore drops through the order like a stone. Well, TNT Esports looking for an explosive start, and in this end, it's more of a damp squid.
I can't believe you've just made that incredible nice one. That's the first time I've heard you make that kind of... nice one, Tim. I gotta give you a round of applause for that one. That was absolutely beautiful, but I think Laritsen would rather hope that the TNT cars don't explode in front of him, as he's got enough on his plate right now. Only got the 3 AM drivers that went through in that B final in this race, and they've got a bit of a
Oh,
tough challenge. And speaking of, Laritzen's off the
Laritsen.
track with Caponio.
Well, Caponio had not the best of starts and got enveloped into the AM battle at the back of the field, and in doing so, they're around. And talking of, well, that's a disappointment. Marjak drops all the way down to 11th, having to burn off that slowdown. Wow, down 6 places now. Started up in 5th. Falls through the order. Another victim here in Rudskogen of the vicious slowdowns that's being served out to our drivers. As Bergson leads from Zambra, Schnabel, those top 3 starting to break away now. They're a second clear of Van Paradon. Him was set to 5th. There's Kaibak Young. Weisgott and Moore. Marshak just making a move there on Archie. Heron, well, he's going to be on the outside. Can Heron hold on through that inside line? Yes, he does. I tell you what, it's closer between those guys as Kirk just trying to catch up on the back of them. It's Poggy, Larissa and Caponia. They've got going again, but they're well down. So what's 5 seconds behind this group as Marjak and Amor are not done and dusted. They bang wheels across the start-finish line. Will they even bang wheels yet again on the run into one? Heron squeezes Marjak there. Oh, there's contact.
Big crash. That was nearly an airplane crash. That was huge for Heron and Marjak. I just think Heron was being too aggressive into turn 1. I think you'll agree with me, Tim, that he just pushed his luck a little bit too much and just squeezed himself into Marjak. We're going to get a replay, of course. Banging wheels already on the exits of the final corner. And into turn 1, you're going to see Heron move to the right ever so slightly under braking. And there it is. Big contact. Huge damage for both of them. And yeah, that's pretty much an end to both of their races. And big drama again.
Pocket as well to avoid Heron, who was obviously no front grip whatsoever after losing his front nose code. It's now being passed by a Laritsen is Heron. And well, Pocket was nearly ran into the back of him, but managed to avoid him. Van Paradon's lost a lot of time through there as well. He's down to 10th, and maybe another victim of the slowdowns, Heron. I tell you what,
they're like 4th or 3rd, I think, at one point.
He was. It's a real cruel mistress. I mean, iRacing known for it. How bad it's slowed down. Oh no, it was not a slowdown. It was contact and loses his front wing in the process. Although, thanks to the magic of netcode, instantly pops back on again.
Yeah,
well,
I think he does damage, though.
Yeah. That front right's looking very misshapen, shall we say.
Yeah, it's just going to be causing him a huge amount of drag. It's just a big plank of just carbon fiber on the front of his car, doing absolutely nothing now. And then he's got to live with it with the rest of the race or come into the pits. But I do believe at some point he did have a slowdown because, like I said, he was in 4th, and that crash that he had was rather, I think it was in 6th or 7th place. So I think he did lose a few positions. Whether it was another mistake or a slowdown, I'm not quite sure, but unfortunate race for him as Aiden Young has had some kind of issue, or is he just letting drivers through? I think he's got a slowdown as well.
It's just a war of attrition, isn't it, of who doesn't get slowed. I think today, if you hadn't picked up a slowdown, you're going to pick up quite a few places. Bicycle, talking of that, he's at 4 places. Kirk, great drive from him, the AM driver leading in AM. Of course, you're guaranteed finishing on the podium in AM, as only 3 drivers made it into the grand final. But he's up into 9th at 5 places. Great drive from him. There he is in the 2.56. And it's just all that, well, I tell you what, he might not be done for the day, because if he does not pick up any slowdowns, he's going to climb a few more places as Pocky trying to follow him through here. Van Paradon suffering a bit. They squeeze one another. The run down to 3. But, well, Van Paradon, well, I mean, you said you couldn't defend through 3. That's how you do it. Take a really wide line and carry all that speed, all that momentum through. And it's still going. They're still side by side. They almost touch once again, but eventually Van Paradon does not have the grip and has to succumb to Poggy. A great move there from the Frenchman.
Yeah, I think Paradon, he needs to defend like that in order to keep a place, and he's going to be on their attack. Don't make contact! It was a tiny bit of contact, I think. But I think Paradon just kind of needs to know that this battle is lost. He has front wing damage. he just needs to chill a little bit. He's being a little bit too aggressive for my liking. And I don't really want what happened to, I think it was Yeoman's, happened to Spence, where he just had that damage and was just being too aggressive. As you can see through that last corner, he was struggling a lot with understeer. Of course, in the dirty air of Poggy ahead of him, but I think he just has to know that this battle is lost and just try and hold off Luritzen behind. But yeah, a lot of drama going on in this feature race, as always, of course. And he's keeping relatively on the back of Poggy, thanks to the slipstream, but I think, Tim, this one's lost.
I mean, this is part of the frustration, isn't it, when you have a little bit of damage like this, because you know that you're definitely quicker than the driver in front of you. No disrespect for Tom Poggy whatsoever. You know, he's not slow by any stretch of the imagination, is the Frenchman. However, you know, it's that damage that's just hampering with you, and you can see that, you know, you're quicker through certain parts of the track than your competitor, but then it opens up to the straight and there's nothing that you can do, and it's an incredibly frustrating moment. So I've been keeping half an eye every so often on what this gap's been doing up front, and they've been sensible, our top three. They've just, you know, maintained the gap. 6 tenths covering, well, in fact, around about half a second now, covering our top three. This is going to be the change as Zambra pulls out of the slipstream. Up the try to look up the inside into turn 1 there. Decides against it, backs out. Just maybe the mind games started to creep in a little bit now.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about. I think it was in the Heat 1 race where these mind games, especially in these longer races, is going to be a key factor to winning this race, as Schnebels picks up the pace from I think it was Heat 2 that he was in, and he's putting a good amount of pressure on Zambra and Bergersen. These 3 cars are separated by about half a second, and speaking of which, I open my mouth and Schnebel makes a slight mistake. He just managed to keep it on the track, but not ideal at all, and that's going to allow Zambra and Bergersen to maybe romp away. And you need to keep those mistakes to a minimum, because if you fall out of that slipstream, it could be game over.
Could well be. Could well be. However, you know, we've still only got, what, just 6-7 tenths covering our top 3. It's close stuff, and I tell you what, Kaibak just about keeping his, you know, his head in the game there. I mean, 2 seconds behind these guys. One big mistake from these guys, and he'll take a big chunk of time out of them, although they are lapping ever so slightly quicker as well. I tell you what, Bergson, not wanting Zambra to have a look this time around, just covers up that inside line, knowing that this is the bit of the advantage here. It's more of an advantage to the car in front rather than the car behind in terms of defending and covering up, because the way that turn 2 comes straight at you, again, using that reference to Montreal in Canada being a similar style complex of corners, this allows you to go defensive but then not lose it and be compromised on your exit out of the complex of corners.
Yeah, that turn 2 complex, it's really, really difficult to get a good run out of it if you're following a car closely. As you said, it's one of those really long corners where you can't really get a switchback, as it's just too long to really get the momentum going. As if you go really deep into the corner, you can gain that momentum back fairly easily because the corner is so long. But the corner that I think is actually key is this final corner, where if Zambra can get right onto the back of Bergersen, brake late into turn 1, he will have a great opportunity. And we'll see if he can do it this time round. The gap is coming down. Bergersen's going to defend right to the inside. Zambra's going to have to be brave on this one. He's going to try what he did last lap and just put the pressure on Bergersen. But as you can see, because the corner's so long and you're dragging yourself out wide, it's so difficult. I think Schnebel also behind has made some kind of mistake, but Zambra has his best run that he's had so far, but he's going to be on the outside line. We know it's difficult to overtake round here in turn 3, and this time round, it's Bergersen still ahead of Zambra.
That mistake really costing Schnebel dearly, and maybe a chance on the podium potentially. Karbach now within a second gap to Schnebel. Run aboard with Zambra. 2 tenths looks like around here, and well over half race distance, 11 minutes and a half nearly out of the 18 here. He's going to take it. It's looking like it's going to be a straight dog fight between, well, 2 pole sitters in each of the heats. Our top 2 in qualifying. Won both of their respective heats. Who's not going to make it a 100% win record here in Norway? Will it be Bergson? Will it be Zambra? Place your bets now, folks. So we run down into turn 1. And Bergson, he's got this completely and utterly sus. You could not get any closer to that inside line whatsoever, but here comes Zambra, just tries to keep his nose in there around the outside, can't do it, has to back out of it. And it's going to be, I tell you what, Bergson's going to open up a decent gap here because Zambra's going to be compromising the exit from that big lunge. Well, I say that, you know, starts taking time out of him thanks to the slipstream that run down the hill.
I honestly think going into turn 1, Zambra's only opportunity, he's going to have to sell Bergerson a dummy if he can, because Bergerson is going to defend that inside line and then push Zambra out wide into turn 2, and then there's not anything Zambra can do. And then Zambra will be pushed onto the outside line for turn 3 as well. Zambra's going to have to do something really drastic here if he wants to win this race. He's going to have to be bold. He's going to have to ramp it up a little bit, as track position on this kind of track is pretty much key. And I honestly think Zambra is going to have to do something that we're not even expecting.
However, that last move did cost them both dearly time-wise, because Schnabel and Kaibach have closed right in on them. As we saw previously, Van Paradon and Laritzen there having a right go at one another. And talking of battles, well, here comes Weisskopf right around the outside. Young and Hingset's going to be serving a slowdown now. Maybe a mistake, because those two blaze past the Belgium driver. I'll tell you what, almost far back behind. So we've got some key battles emerging right now. This battle for 5th. The battle for the lead. Let's talk about that battle for the lead. They're back at it again, only 2 temps separating them. Do you think this is where, I mean, another big moment of battling into turn 1 from these two? And maybe that's what Zambra might just be a little bit wary of right now, is that it's going to bring Schnabel and Kaibach right into this fight. Or mistake from Bergson. This is going to be the chance for Zambra to get that move done as they're side by side. They drag it out here on the run down the hill. They almost touch wheels. They almost bang side pods there, but Bergson's going to reclaim it over Zambra. And that might just be the opportunity missed, because look at the wild Schnabel has come right into this fight. He's now back up onto the back of them, and Kaibach's only a second down the road. He will be into it too, as Bergson having to defend. Zambra trying to get creative, moving to the outside, looking for the cutback through the final corner to get the run, to get the move done into turn 1. But look at Schnabel, he's in this fight too. Bergson goes defensive. Schnabel's on the far right of the track as they drag it out to turn 1. And on the outside, Zambra can't get the move done yet again. Ooh, and look, I said about Kaibach, he's now half a second behind Schnabel. He's fully into this fight. It's now a 4-way fight for the lead.
Yeah, well, that's what you have. Well, that's what happens when you battle for the lead so closely like that. And I think Zambra missed that opportunity, to be honest. He should have been way braver on the brakes. He knew how hard it was to get past Bergerson. And these pro drivers don't make mistakes like that often. And that was a real missed opportunity for Zambra, which he might not get again during this race. And like I said before, he's going to have to ramp it up. He's going to have to do something drastic. Like into this next corner, maybe just sell him a dummy, try and pressure him into a mistake. It's just, he needs to do something to win this race. Otherwise, he's going to fall into Schnabel and Kaibach's hands, and he's going to fall away from the lead of this race. It's the mind games between all of these drivers right now, Tim, it's incredible to watch.
Needs to get a bit creative, like we saw earlier on from Hugo Robb, where just picking up those completely crazy lines, different angles. I mean, Bergson knows he's got this turn 1 covered off. He's got this in the bag. He's got Zambra exactly where he wants him. And I think he knows as well, just keep doing that move, because you said, rightly so, Zambra needs to do something creative, something brave, something bold, and if he doesn't get it right, he will lose second place to Schnabel because he's right up onto the back of him. This is playing right into Bergson's hands. He can't, I mean, barring a mistake, he cannot do any wrong from this. Just keep covering off those defensive lines. Zambra's going to get frustrated. He's going to get, you know, adventurous and creative in trying to size something, and if it doesn't pull off, he's going to lose it. He's going to lose a place, maybe even 2, because Kaibak is only, they're all evenly spaced at 2 tenths apiece. You can see in the bottom right corner right now, exactly the gaps to Bergerson, this battle for first place. And does Zambra want to risk something so creative and crazy to go for the win, knowing they could just walk away from this round with a 4th place? Was that a mistake from Bergerson there?
I think
This is slight, but this is the trouble with Rudskogen, isn't it? These long sweeping corners knows that, it's enough. This could be the moment. Zambra not getting the best run. Schnabel now coming alongside. This plays into Bergerson's hands. They remain as they are.
this is going to be the final lap, Tim.
Do you know, I got so engrossed in this battle, and I hadn't even spotted that white flag in the air. We have got 1 lap left to go from this round. Who's going to take it? Well, I just don't see Bergerson losing this. I just don't, Aaron.
I have to agree. I really don't. I think track position, when you have relatively the same pace as your rival around here, it matters so much. You can just defend the inside line, and because of the way these swooping corners work, it works almost every time. And I think Zambra's just pushed a little bit too hard, and that missed opportunity a couple laps ago, I think that was the chance to go for the win, and he just wasn't brave enough, and I think that's really, really cost him the victory here today. But I think Bergerson, I think credit where credit's due, he's defended perfectly, albeit he had 1 mistake, covered it off beautifully. He's going to round the final corner to hold off the 4 cars behind him, and he's going to take the feature race victory here today. He can be proud with that. A superb defensive performance by the Swede, and Zambra, he's going to be happy in terms of the championship, but as a racing driver, you always want to go for the win. I think there wasn't much Schnabel or Kaibak could do, but it's Kirk who takes victory as well in He's going to be absolutely elated, as you can tell with that. Paradon just about holds off Loritzen all the way to the line. And only 12 cars finishing the race. Well, you said it was like Australia, Tim, and well, there you go. you got your race of attrition.
Wow. Wow, what a round. I mean, a enthralling final for just incredibly different reasons from what we've seen so far this season. Nip and tuck every stage of the way. Bergerson takes a victory over Zambra. Schnabel finishes on the podium. Kaibak just behind his fellow countryman in the end, but only comes home in 4th. Adding Young, strong result from the Americans to finish 5th with Bicycle. Great job from him picking up 4 places. Him was set. Going for him, he started up on the 2nd row, but fell 4 places down to 7th. Daniel Moore 8th. Kirk, as you mentioned, taking that victory in 9th overall. A great haul of points for the AM driver. Likewise to Tom Poggy, his fellow AM driver, running out his top 10 and also 2nd on the podium in AM. Van Paradon, like you said, held off Loritzen right to the line, only a 10th and a half separating those two. Loritzen obviously 12th and rounding out that podium. Retirements, Caponio and Heron, we lost them on lap 5, and Marjak sadly lost him on lap 3. Let's have a bit of a chat to some of our drivers. And first off, I'll tell you what, there can't be a much happier guy than Christopher Kirk. The victory here from Rudskogen. I tell you what, there was some cracking. Yeoman's that qualifying lap for me coming into this round. And surely probably you looked at it as well, Chris. He looked like completely unbeatable, but just showed around here just all about that consistency and not picking up an off track. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're in the final.
I'm absolutely ecstatic and confused. Honestly, so happy. I've been working on the consistency because that has been a problem for me for the last few rounds. I felt it's got better and better, and I was kind of waiting for Tom Poggy and Co to come up right behind me, but just kept on kind of chipping in, and here we are. Yeah, fantastic. So happy.
It was in terms of the AM victory in the final, 4 seconds in the clear of Tom Poggy. That's a dominating display. But talk us through the B final. That was probably the more, I say interesting race. This was definitely probably more interesting race, the final for you, because you took the victory. However, from a neutral's perspective, it looked tough out there in that B final, and was, I mean, it could have gone absolutely anywhere, any which stage.
I was hoping P3 was going to realise that we're all in a good position. Let's not do anything kind of crazy, and we'll all go through to the final. And kind of just watching the gap and trying not to basically overheat the tyres. I felt that was a really big problem around this track because it's got such long corners. If you did it too much, then you just started to get a very snappy car. So I was just trying to peg the gap and not do anything silly and just make it through to the final was the goal, really. So yeah, a bit stressful, but all works out.
Oh, it definitely did. And Chris, before we let you go, anyone you would give a shout out to at all?
I want to give a shout out to Garrett because I've really enjoyed racing with him, especially over the last few rounds as I've been new to this championship. So I'm going to give a shout out to him.
Oh, good stuff. That's Christopher Kirk, your winner here from Rudskogen in the category 9th overall at 5 places. Aaron, who have you managed to grab for a chat?
Oh, it's a tough one, but I think I'm gonna go with Zambra. You know, I think after such a close battle for that lead, Zambra, I have to ask, how are you feeling after just 18 minutes of complete and utter chaos?
Yeah, I mean, it was full sweat for me. Well, I tried everything to find the gap somewhere, but also I didn't want to send the car, you know, I wanted to keep it clean, and yeah, Theodore defended really well though.
Yeah, that battle between you two was absolutely something else to watch, and it left me and Tim on the edge of our seats. And when Schnebel and Kaibak got involved as well, it was something else. And for you two to keep it on the track really is a testament to how clean you guys are. But is there anything else you think you could have done to get past? Do you regret anything? Do you think you could have done anything different?
I mean, I once had the opportunity on the inside of turn 1, and if I would have braked a little bit later, maybe I could have got past him, but yeah, I didn't want to risk too much because it's still, I mean, 3 races to go now, I think, and if I lose my car or do a crash, then championship is pretty much over with only 3 rounds left, you know.
Yeah, I think that's a true champion's mentality. I think that's what we were saying during the broadcast is you kind of have to balance the risk with how it's going to affect your championship, and I think you did that kind of well, and I think you showed great racecraft out there today. And you're going into next week. You know, are you hoping for maybe to go one better in the feature race?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that I can get pole position next week. That would made everything more easy for me. And yeah, but Fuji is a pretty hard track. I never raced on it before, so I now bought it. But yeah, I will try my best next week to get the win in feature race.
Well, I think you'll have an absolute blast around Fuji. It's a very fun track. I think you'll like it. But before we let you go, Zambra, once again, you know, great race from second place. And is there anyone you wanna give a shout out to? Anyone you wanna thank?
I wanna thank my team and all of the guys at home watching the stream right now. Yeah, and thanks, Aaron.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Zambra. And once again, congratulations.
Thanks.
Well, next up, I think it's probably he was brought into that battle late on, and Lennart Schnabel now joins us. Lennart, we've just spoken to Zambra, and I mean, we saw you sort of drop away, and then the closing stages of the final, you know, they got into one another. You closed the gap right off. Did you think you maybe could have nicked second at some stage potentially?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I was struggling with the setup. I haven't done a single lap this week till the practice today. So basically I had 14 laps of practice, and fighting with them for the lead basically was just amazing, because obviously I wasn't expecting that after the amount of practice. And I think that it's, well, because they fought so hard, so I could keep up with them. Yeah. So.
Definitely. I mean, it looked incredibly tough to get moves done, you know, especially for you top guys where you're so similar on pace. I mean, Aaron asked Zambra the same question I'm going to ask you right now. Was there anything you regret maybe not trying potentially to, try and get a move done?
No, not really. I was gaining positions from the start, or basically one position from the start right away. So I was already in a superb position for myself at that point, and I wouldn't have dared to interfere with the leaders, because I wasn't really on their pace, because if they wouldn't have fought so hard and played together, then it might have been possible that I would be like 2-3 seconds behind. So I was just sitting with them and waiting till something happens.
And towards the end of the race, obviously Michael Kaiback caught right up onto the back of you. Did that change your mentality a little bit in those closing stage of the race, or was it just about remaining, you know, keeping doing what you've been doing so far, you know, across this evening?
Yeah, when he caught up to me, I was first of all I was a bit concerned, because the two I had were still fighting, and I was just waiting, and he caught up pretty quick, like 1.5 seconds in.
Yeah.
One lap, and then yeah, basically I had faith in him that he's not gonna try it, just for all of our goods, and it worked out at the end. I think we all could be happy with where we finished, and yeah, obviously I'm happy with P3. I think Michael is also happy with P4. I don't know. I hope so, at least. Yeah, yeah.
Definitely. Well, congratulations, Leonard, on the podium here to Rudskogen's Leonard Schnabel of Alcantech NHR. Aaron, I believe you started by with Aiden Young.
Yes, Aiden had quite a quiet race actually, but you know, sometimes, as Chaz likes to say a lot of the time, no news is good news. Aiden, a fairly simple feature race for you, up a few positions as well. You know, to talk us through the chaos of that start of the feature.
Yeah, so before the start, I kind of panicked because I don't know whether you guys could see it or not, but I actually lost my internet connection, so it kicked me out, and I got on the grid with like 5 seconds to spare. So I was severely panicked, and when I saw I got on the grid, I was like, oh. And then I was like, okay, now we just need to focus on race start. So we did that, and obviously I saw the chaos. Everybody went, or people went one way, they all went the other way. It was just like they went across the track, and I'm like, okay, I'll stick to this line on the outside. And obviously I saw some guys get some slowdown, so I just stayed around the outside. At first I thought I was gonna get tagged by, I think it was Griffin, or I want to say, I don't know, could have been one of his teammates, but because they all had the same paint, they were all running right together. So I was like, who's this? Oh wait, I don't know that guy. I think it was this guy. But he tapped my back wheel, and I got a little loose, so I thought I was gonna spin, but so surprised I held that. And then obviously I just tried to get to the front of the pack as soon as possible, but then on lap one I got a little bit unlucky, because going through the little S before you start going to the tricky bit, I got a slowdown, so I had to serve that, so I dropped back to like 9th, and I had to go back up from there, and then by that point the leaders were just gone.
Yeah, I gotta ask about those slowdowns, because they seemed like enemy number one more than anything out there today. You know, what corners were they worst at, and like just how annoying were they just across all of today?
Oh, they were horrendous. They suck. They're so useless. You don't even need the slowdowns. It's like you should just be able to. It's iRacing things. It's
Yeah.
don't worry about it. But iRacing, if you're listening, fix your slowdowns on Rudskogen. Nobody likes them.
I think that there are plenty of tracks where slowdowns are terrible, and yeah, this looks to be one of them, definitely.
The places where they were the worst at. So obviously that little S section. Sorry, I don't know the corner numbers because I don't really drive this track that much. And for F4, around here, it's not my favorite combo. If the racing was fun, but like it's very hard to overtake because of how narrow the track is. And then, of course, there's elevation change everywhere, so you think you could try it, and then it changes elevation, and you're like, next thing you know, you're like, oh crap, I'm spinning.
Yeah, yeah. It looked like a real tough to overtake, and for some people, just keep the car on the track. But yeah, going into next week, I think is going to be a complete change of pace from Rudskogen, as this track is not really like any other we've seen. So you know, have you got any higher hopes for going into next week's race? Maybe finishing on the podium, maybe even better.
Well, one thing's for certain, I used to hate Fuji, but now I like Fuji. So the only reason I say I hate Fuji is because of the final sector. It's very blind, and it's, in a way, sometimes quite useless.
Yeah.
Because there's no need for, you go up, then you can't see your apex, and then the next thing you know, you're off, you're hitting the sausage curb, and you're barrel rolling down the front straightaway.
It's quite a challenge, and I can relate to you in that way. When Fuji first came out, it was a real challenge. But I think in these Formula cars, I think they're going to be something to watch. I gotta say.
You hit a sausage curb, that's sure you're gonna go flying to outer space. You'll become, your F4 car will become a spaceship, and then you will be an astronaut pilot, and then you're going to the International Space Station in space.
Well, we got to give the best of luck to you, of course, Aiden. And before you let you go, is there anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yes, I'd like to thank my team, No Limits Sim Racing. There's the sponsors, Jody Valeing, Glitch Energy, and Gamers Apparel. And then I'd like to thank my teammates for kind of helping me in quali, even though I might not have had the best quali I've had in the season. They helped me to still keep myself up there, right in the top 5, and a mix for a podium this race.
I've got to say, congrats to you, Aiden, on a well-deserved 5th place. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
That's Aiden Young there, but that's all we've got time for this week. What a final it was. Drama and excitement and a battle for the lead that went on the entirety of the race. We have more of the same in about a week's time. Well, it remains to be seen. Make sure you tune in. And also talk about tuning in about just over an hour's time. Formula Renault 3.5 Championship returns to the channel. Myself and Aaron will be joined by Oliver Croker, Formula Renault driver. And make sure you tune in for that one in just over an hour's time. But well, as I said, that's all we've got time for here this week from Rudskogen as well. We will see you in 1 week's time here on Apex Racing TV as we head to Asia, in the land of the rising sun. We'll be live for Fuji in Japan. And make sure you tune in for that one. But well, from myself, Tim Cox, Samuli Kumo, and of course, Aaron Smith. We will see you soon here at Apex Racing TV.